close enough. Hello, good afternoon. I have to prep a build for Monday for my dad. I could break it in two pieces because he's not going to want to stay around for 2 hours while we work on his mini classic. So I thought I would do this part on camera since I have to do it anyway. And, you know, maybe get some company while I work. So, hello. Thank you for joining me on y'all's lunch break. But probably you guys are not Central Time, so it's not your lunch break anyway. Ooh, hello from Argentina. That could be Central Time. That could be Central. That could be lunchtime. All right. So my dad, we're gonna build. I would say it's a Hackintosh, but that's not entirely true because he is a mobility computer specialist for helping the blind out. So he basically will help Microsoft and Google and Apple and Linux do accessibility for the blind. So he's kind of like a expert contractor in that regard. So it's going to have Linux on it. He has a flavor of the week. It's going to have Mojave on it, macOS Mojave, and it's going to have, of course, Windows on it as well. Now, I found the trick when you're doing these multi-operating system builds is to do Apple first, and that's why I'm not going to do any operating system today, but I am going to kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to put together the system, test and see if it works. I'm going to throw a 1080 in it, even though he's not going to use that, so I can test out this power supply that I modded for a customer. Because if it powers the 1080, we're good to go. And, not 1080, 2080. So, enough of my blabbering about. And I'm going to try to get some work done. I might have to leave early because my neighbor hurt his knee. And he's going on a trip. And I have to... I'm going to pressure wash his trailer for him, his camper. His brother has a brain cancer he just found out. So please send your prayers to John's brother, his little brother. Really sucks. So I'm going to get that all done for him. So if he gives me a call, I'm going to drop and leave. But it should be enough time, I think, to at least test this out. Ooh, hello from France. And you're seeing me live because it's not... See, you guys are almost 8 hours ahead. It depends where you are in France, I suppose. I don't know. Time zones. Pfft. Shouldn't be expected to know that. So this is the ASRock Z370 ITX board, which you might be going, why Z370? Because it has Thunderbolt 3. I have no idea if I'm able to get Thunderbolt 3 working in Mojave for him, but it would be really cool if we could get Thunderbolt working, because you can actually use some products with the Mac with Thunderbolt if I can get it working. So that's why it's not a Z390i. Trying to see if there's anything good here. Don't need this for right now. That's for Monday. And just for talkies, we're going to put a 560 in. It's a low profile card. 560, of course, doesn't have guts to do nothing gaming-wise, but actually it does pretty decent in Final Cut Pro. So it's better than just the stock Intel integrated for Final Cut Pro. And it's sad, too, because NVIDIA used to have drivers for the Mac. You could just go download them, install them, and you were good to go. So you didn't have to do any injectors or anything like that. But now, unfortunately, with Mojave, you can't do that. It's macOS Mojave, right? This is how bad I am with computers. I think that's what it's called. About this Mac. Yeah, okay. It is. Whew. So, putting this one back, and we are going to put, for the rest of his build, 16 gigabytes of RAM, I believe. We want 16? Yep. This is the cheapo Corsair, because it's Intel. You don't need to buy fast RAM for Intel. You kind of do for AMD. Kind of. We're going to go with the i3-8100. I love this CPU, guys. I really, truly love this CPU. It is cheap, whereas other Intel CPUs are not. And the i3 kind of throws performance / enthusiast away because, you know, i3 has kind of been a low-end Intel chip. But this has guts. It really does have some good horsepower on it, and it overclocks very well. Stock, it can run at 3.6 gigahertz all day long. It's a good chip. It's quad core, so yeah, anyways, it's a good chip. I really like this thing. If you have unlimited dollars, sure, buy an i7, but if, you know, you're trying to put money into other things, realistically, this is going to do pretty much everything that you're going to need it to do for a lot of stuff. Also, I failed to mention this, my dad has an S4 Mini Classic, and it's going to be a brickless build. That's one of the main reasons he wants to do a rebuild. So we're going to be putting all this into a S4MC. But like I said today, I need to test out this custom power supply for customers, so I'm just going to throw this together and see if everything works. So let's do it. Yeah, I'm going to bring up a topic that I talk about constantly. I'm kind of a weird person to buy a computer system from. First of all, I don't sell parts. I only sell, well, I sell the Mini, of course. I sell all Mini-related stuff. But I stress the fact I sell a service, a computer assembly service. I do not mark up parts when you buy from me at all. And I do this because I want the customer to feel real confident and sure that I'm trying to give them my best advice. I always say, you know, go talk to experts first, do research, but if you're going to ask me my opinion, I downsell people on computer parts usually. Usually they're wanting to buy the fastest, most expensive parts. I'm like, okay, I don't think that you need this. I think from what you're doing, you could get away with this no problem. And here's the point I'm trying to make. The conversation usually turns to, well, future-proofing. I want to future-proof my system. I don't want to buy a system down the road. So I want to buy big now. And I get that. I'm all about buying quality and having it for a long time. And I'm all about buying the things that you need to up front. But the truth of the matter is, future-proofing is really stupid. I'm not saying just my customers. I make the same mistakes in other areas of my life for computer parts. Because if you were a computer enthusiast, you're probably not going to be holding on to your computer long enough for it to matter, number one. Number two, if I look at my friends, and even me, the computers that we built 5 years ago with lower end parts, they're still doing a great job for what they need to do as far as CPU and all that. So I don't really know if that's a great point to make. And three, especially when it comes to graphics cards, you're going to want to replace that anyways. It's cheaper usually to buy the graphics card that you want, that will work for you now, and then just buy the brand new graphics card that you need in 3 years than to future-proof up front. Case in point, I have my best friend. He is one of those persons that will not listen when it comes to saving money and always wants to spend the biggest amount possible to future-proof. So I said buy a 1060 for what we were doing, the games we were playing at the time, because the 1060 was actually more overkill for what we were doing. And he's like, okay, I'll buy a 1060. So he bought the 1060, and he's like, I don't want this. I want to buy the best that there is, even though it was working fine for what we were playing. So he went and he bought a Fury, Sapphire Fury card. And he's like, no, I don't want this either. And so when the 1080 Ti came out, he bought a 1080 Ti. Now, if you have the money, you just want to buy a nice computer, then sure, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do this. Spend your money how you want to spend it. You know, I understand totally and completely. But as far as the idea of future-proofing and saving money, this is the only point I'm trying to make. Anyway, that was several years ago now. It's 2019, and we still play Hearthstone and, you know, League of Legends. You know, he could have been using the 1060 all this time and been fine, you know. So that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. And again, I'm not saying that it's not worth it to buy an i7. I'm not saying it's not worth it to buy a 2080 Ti. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But I'm talking about people that come to me and say, I want to save money, but I want to future-proof so I don't lose money down the road. And all I'm saying is that doesn't make any sense to me. However, there are exceptions. Number one, hard drive. Always future-proof your hard drive. Buy a fast hard drive, buy a reliable, expensive hard drive, and buy one with more storage than you think you need, because for your operating system drive. Because it is a pain in the butt to buy a new drive and clone it and etc. down the road. So I do recommend expensive storage solutions. You don't have to buy the Pro series from Samsung. That's spending money to spend money, which is great. I'm all for that. But buy a nice, reliable drive. And number two, motherboard. I do like buying nice motherboards, not because, or expensive motherboards, not because they're more reliable than lower end. In fact, in my experience, the ones with all the bells and whistles generally are a little bit less reliable than the baseline ones. But it's hard to swap your motherboard out. If you're an average user, it's kind of a pain. It's not hard, it's a pain. So, you know, if you get good I/O, spend the money on the motherboard. You might want to do overclocking later. You might want to dabble in that to have more fun. So, you know, buy a higher end motherboard. Or you can. It makes sense is what I'm saying. But CPU, buy what you need today. GPU, buy what you need today if you're looking to save money. So, that's my rant. Yes, need this. I'm not telling you what to do. Please don't think I'm telling you what to do. I'm just offering advice for people that already ask my advice. I'm an enthusiast, and probably everyone on this stream is enthusiast as well. Which means that we like to buy nice computer parts because we can, and it's fun. So, another problem that I have that I'm trying to find, and I don't know how to answer it to customers when they ask, so I just try to be honest and say, okay, here's benchmarks from these review sites, and you try to make a decision on it, is when it comes to like 4K high refresh rate gaming. Because people will say, well, I want to do 4K and I want to do, 144 hertz gaming. And, it's really hard to give them a recommendation because really nothing does that right now, right? I mean, you can buy a 2080 Ti, you can buy two 2080 Ti's, and that might not be enough if they're looking to have every single graphics option max the top, right? That's very difficult. Whereas they could do 4K 144 hertz gaming with a much lesser card, like a 2060, if they would turn down some graphics options. So for me, it's hard to make a recommendation there, so I try to be really careful about it when I do talk about it. I try to push that off onto other reviewers and let the customer make the decision for themselves. It's very difficult to make a good one. I don't know. What do you guys say? Like, how do you answer that question? The NHL 9i, I've covered in some other videos, is not totally square. It has like a cutout on one side of it, and this is the side that I like to put towards the motherboard chipset heatsink. It's not really a chipset heatsink, or the SSD on Asus boards. And a great point is, on my Macintosh, I have a 5K monitor, which this is what I use for my work, like for CAD work and for video editing and stuff. And I will admit, I play most games on my Mac. Partly because I'm waiting to do my mini build. I'm kind of saving my pennies and seeing what's coming up with Ryzen and stuff like that. But also because the screen is glorious. So I'm not saying that you got to be a Mac person or anything like that, but the point is the Mac has terrible specs. I mean, it was bad when I bought it and expensive. It has a 580 for a graphics card, and that was like the super tier option. And a 580 is kind of, it's meh for the price they charge you, right? I mean, if you bought a PC, I could have bought like a 1080 plus with it, halfway between 1080 and 1080 Ti. And it has an i5 in it, a lower end i5. But if I turn down some of the graphics options, the games still look great because they're made in modern game engines. And I can play the games at 60 FPS at 5K, which is insane, right? But if I was going to turn those up, I couldn't even play them on a 2080 Ti. So it's just hard to answer for me to answer that question. I want to see what some people have said about that. Yeah, I mean, that's really all you could do is give people different articles and news articles about how it performs at what settings. Do you know what's really sad? Don't get all nostalgic, but I really miss way back in the day, because I've been building computers because of my dad, really, since before I could talk, he was building computer systems. And I really miss that you'd go and you'd upgrade your computer and it would like double in speed. Like you could actually tell a difference. Or like when you bought a new GPU and you could like run it at much higher resolution and faster and it actually looked prettier. I miss those days. Now you just have to take a Benchmark's word for it. Hey, yeah, your computer's faster, promise. I mean, it's good. It's good that you can't buy a bad computer these days. You can only spend too much money for one. But also, it's kind of not as fun. I'm going to use the power supply I'm sending him, which is this one. And I'm going to give him some SkyWire cables. Do you guys watch LGR, Lazy Game Reviews? It's another YouTube channel. Love that channel. But talk about hitting you in the nostalgia gut. Nostalgia organ. Wherever the nostalgia organ is, he hits it. Definitely recommend checking that channel out. Might not be your thing, but definitely check it out. LGR, Lazy Game Reviews. Just realized this is going to be kind of a awkward test because I don't usually test with the SkyWire cables. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. I appreciate you guys responding back and typing out your thoughts. It's a lot of fun. Usually I can't read them all in real time, but I always go back and just read you guys' notes. It's a blast. And I know other people appreciate it too. Okay, I'm going to put my 2080 in, which I can't say thank you enough for, but this was actually sent to me by Chad. And I really, really appreciate it a lot. It's been super handy. I haven't actually like put it in my system or anything like that to play with, but I use it constantly for benchmarking. And I got it fast enough too where I could quickly gauge how these cards react to undervolting and all that jazz. Jazzeroni. Alright, I can't use a CPU. I have to use a stock HD Plex one. It's a double pin card. Happy Tuesday from Maine! That is one of 4 states in the U.S. I have not been to, but would like to. It's just that there's no other reason to go up to Maine for business or anything like that, so I haven't really gotten to yet. You guys can easily guess the other, well, 2 of the other states, and one of them is just one that I've never ridden through either. It's a state that's close to Maine. No. Hello from the UK. Awesome. So, all right, here's my test monitor. Oh, I can't really put this here because that's where I have my my mic stuff. I'll just have to remember that and build these on the opposite side from now on. Remember, guys, a clean workspace is a safe workspace. It's such a mess. Monday is supposed to be shop cleaning day, and I didn't do it. This over, move this over, move this over, move my sody over. Very carefully. I'm going to unplug this power supply because I can just tell this is bad news waiting to happen. Okay. Okay. There we go. Where does ASRock put their power switch? Hello from Germany. I gotta scroll up and miss all the or read all the things I missed. Yes, Dirt Every Day is one of my favorite channels. So I don't know if that's apparent to everybody here or relevant, but I love that channel. Hello from Lithuania. I would consider Lithuania Eastern Europe. That's awesome. Germany. Ooh, that would also be a good question, I suppose. I mean, Poland has changed hands so many times. Man, they have gone through a heck of a lot. I'm so proud of the Polish people for still having a Polish identity despite being owned by a dozen different other countries over the years. Owned. See, they didn't own them because they still keep their identity. Copyright. F2 to run setup. Question is here. This is all working, but it's only pulling 83 watts. I kind of want to put Windows on it a little tiny bit just so I can run a benchmark, even though I'm going to be deleting it later. The question is, do I have another drive with Windows on it? That would be cool, because you can do that with modern Intel CPUs and motherboards. You can install Windows on a drive and port it just about any computer case. It will complain about you, the license key, of course, but I should do that. That would actually make things a lot easier for me. I don't think I have one right now, though. That's cool. There's a lot of people that watch Dirt every day. Yeah, that's a good idea. I have no excuse for why I have not done this yet, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to go dig and find an old SSD, put Windows on it. That would be really great. I normally don't have to do this exact thing I'm doing now, otherwise I probably would have done it earlier, where I'm just testing a system and then going to put another system on it later. Usually I would just install it, but again, the main drive is going to be macOS formatted because it's easier. It's been easier for me to build a Hackintosh that way in the past. Last one I built was last year, though. Maybe it's easier. Oh, I went off-roading on my motorcycle for the first real time yesterday on Sunday, and it was amazing. Because I'm a big Jeeper for people that don't know, and I actually do drive around the U.S. to different major trails. So I am experienced. I'm not an expert, but I'm experienced in off-roading on the Jeep and other 4x4s. But the motorcycles always looked crazy to me. But I could not believe how amazing it was. I would have totally gotten stuck in what I got out on there on Sunday. But the thing about it is, too, like if you start to get up to past your axle hubs on the motorcycle, you can, you know, push it and move it. I'm scared, actually, because my off-road motorcycle is a DRZ 400, and people consider that way too big for off-roading. So I don't want to get like anything smaller because I know I'll be hooked on it. But I really love that bike. You know, absolute dirt cheap. I got mine for cheap, and I put work into it myself because they're really easy to work on. You can plate them, take them on the highway to another road. Not really, I would say, feel safe on the highway, but you can do it. I really like the idea of the Honda 450L that came out. People are really dissing it because it's kind of like KTM price and maintenance without KTM performance, but there's something about it that I think people aren't really appreciating, which is fine, that I do, is that it's really quiet. They put plastic and rubber everywhere and redesigned everything to be super quiet. The muffler's super quiet. I do not like loud off-roading machines. I love loud vehicles. I am a redneck. I go to track day. I love loud vehicles, but not off-roading because you don't want to look like a jerk to other people that are out there enjoying, you know, nature. If there's nobody else out there, fine, whatever. But also, I like to be able just to hear myself. I like to hear nature, and my DRZ is so loud. So I really like the idea of a quiet, really quiet dual sport. All right, well, I was just talking about that. I need to drive. Oh, wait, gonna need a SATA. It's the wrong SATA cable. People are asking when the S for me is going to be in stock. I don't know. I will let you guys know immediately when I know. Soon. I have prototypes on order for the next run. And then once those are checked out, I will place the order, and it shouldn't take long for them to get made because the factory will lose money if they don't get them fast. And I expect them to be shipping probably in under 2 months, but that's just a guess, like a guess between friends. It's in my very, very, very best interest, though, to let you guys know as soon as I know. But I just don't know quite yet. Yeah, electric off-road bike would be amazing. You know, I'm not really super into electric vehicles for cars and stuff yet. I just don't really see how they make sense. I'm not dissing them. It's me personally, so don't take it personally. But motorcycles make perfect sense because you have the in-town commuter bikes, which you can just go and you can plug in and charge and roll around. And then off-road bikes would be great because you're going to truck them anyway. That would be amazing. That would be incredible. And they're almost there. Zero really has some good stuff. Speaking of which, if we want to jump on the hate train, which I don't like doing, but I appreciate that Harley Davidson is making an electric motorcycle, but I don't know what they are thinking at the same time. Like, what's the MSRP on that? I swear, I think it was $30,000 last I looked. Like $30,000 for a motorcycle that has a little bit less specs than a Zero motorcycle. Like, I can understand paying that for like a big cruiser if you're really into the brand, you know, and stuff. But oh my goodness, for that little motorcycle, $30,000? Who is going to buy that? It's going to end up embarrassing them. I hope I'm wrong, but because they need a new crowd, right? The old Harley crowd's not going to buy. I don't think. I don't want to be judgmental, but being that I ride with Harley guys, I don't think that they would be into a electric motorcycle. So you need to get a younger crowd, and to do that, I think you need a cheaper motorcycle. I'm going to reset this and see if this actually has Windows on it already. Which it actually won't let me do on the header on this board. I do appreciate Harley's sense of humor. Their April Fools is my favorite April Fools. Their electric motorcycle is called the Livewire. Anyways, they announced on April Fools that it would play through the speakers one of the Harley's classic tones in the bike, and you could adjust the volume. So at least they have a sense of humor about it. I get some more questions about the Mini coming out. It's probably going to be available for pre-order, maybe by the end of the month, but in May, if things go well with the prototype. Start Windows normally. Well, it crashed. Let's see if we can launch startup repair. But it does look like it has Windows on it. Gives me a blue screen when I start up. Did Finch, I can't really read the link. I can't really see very well from here. But is it the, I see the CryoRig Taku. Is that what that is? I really like the design of it. It's really pretty, but it's a very, 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 very big case if you haven't seen it in person. But it is a very pretty case. Yeah, Sean, the same goes for me. I have a friend that's been riding Harleys since, you know, the 1950s. And, but a lot of those guys are really mad at Harley right now. It's kind of like people in World of Warcraft. You know, they love the brand so much and they see it changing so much, so it hurts them personally. But he does know his motorcycles and how to build motorcycles and builds them all the time. And he would agree with you. I have a... It's not letting me tab. What if it crashed? But resets in 6M. My Cruiser is a Yamaha. It's a Roadliner. And I love it. There's no problems ever with it. My first bike was a Harley. It was a Harley 1200C. I love the bike. It was a lot of fun. It felt like a motorcycle. I know that's completely subjective. But yeah, it was broken all the time. And the dealer here, I don't want to badmouth anybody, but the dealer here kept blaming it on me. I would go in the shop and they'd be like, yeah, you don't know how to ride a clutch, man, because I replaced the clutch in it 4 times. And they would keep saying, no, it's you, dude. And I'm like, okay, it could be me. I'm willing to admit that I'm not a perfect rider and it could be me burning it up, but I've ridden other motorcycles. I've always had manual vehicles. My Jeep was manual. I did extreme off-roading in it for a long time. I know how to, I think that I know how to ride, but then I had electrical problems with it. So I was like, that's it. I got stranded all the time with that bike. I'd be out cruising and then it would just break down. And I have to have somebody come pick me up. So I was like, okay, that's it. And then I bought my first new vehicle ever, which was the Yamaha Roadliner, which was very expensive to buy a new vehicle. I don't recommend it, but it's been great. All right, this is definitely not going to run, so I'm just going to install Windows on it, and we'll have myself a nice little test drive. So you guys are talking about relevant information, the computer build again. This is an i3, the 8100, which I love. It has a 970 Evo Plus drive. This is a terabyte, probably one of the most expensive parts in the build. And an last generation motherboard from ASRock, the Z370, because it has Thunderbolt, and my dad wants Thunderbolt 3 on it. As for the power supply, it's going to have the HDPlex 200 with their 200 AC unit. It's going to be brickless and S4MC, but I'm testing out this custom power supply that I modded for somebody else. So I have a 2080 in here right now, and I'm installing Windows. I'm mostly just hanging out with you guys, but I'm installing Windows to quickly test the power supply, double test it, and yeah, that's what I'm doing for my lunch break. Alt-D for deleted. Deleted. Yeah, people are asking what kind of power supply this is. This particular one is a modded HDPlex 400. AC. It's a brand new power supply that HDPlex came out with. Go check it out on their website, hdplex.com. Sean can actually put the link in there because he's a moderator. But they have really super interesting products that are you can buy retail, which I really like. I'm a big supporter of them because they make good stuff. There are other options available too if you are more in tune with the community, the small form factor community, that I would recommend looking into. Jay Hack uses Meanwell power supplies, open frame power supplies, and puts together great cable kits and a 24-pin plug-in unit for it. G-Unique, Gary makes awesome stuff, but he makes it all super custom himself, handmade power supplies and converters. So if you have a little bit more lead time, if you can wait for your power supply, and you like things spicy, check out G-Unique. And then there's Compact Design, which was run by my friend Craig, and he focuses on making things to fill in the gap where HDPlex doesn't. So he sells a 160 variant, which he's going to actually discontinue because HDPlex new 200 watt, he doesn't want to make another 200 watt with it too, but he's going to continue with the 360 dynamo, and he may come up with a Verger in the future. The Tank and Chicken says, how long will I sell the S4 Mini for? Long term? I would like to. I want to sell the S4 Mini as long as people want to buy a case like this, you know? So I will do that. As far as will that happen, it is so volatile, guys. It is so volatile. Every time that I buy a run of these minis, I am taking every penny that I've ever made, ever owned over a long period of time. It's very scary. And giving it to a manufacturer to make a computer case with. And they could screw up, you know, or they could take my money and run, or something could happen in shipping, and then I would have no money to continue the project. So you never know. It's very scary. It's very volatile. So I say scary, like if I was relying on it, it would be scary, but I'm not concerned. I just want to do what God wants me to do right now. I have a great family, and I get business through other stuff, so I'm not worried about it. But the long short of it is I'll do it as long as it makes sense. And right now, it's working great. It's working great. There was a really big hiccup, though. That's why there's not minis available. I was going to continue to have them available constantly so you wouldn't have to wait between runs. But with all the different politics that are going on in the United States and in China, I wasn't able to reorder. Lian Li was moving its factories over to China, but now China is actually moving over factories and storage back to Taiwan. So it's really fascinating. So because of that, they need to fill some gap. And I was like, okay, well, I can fill the gap for you. So I was able to reorder and get basically the same deal as last time. I hope. It's not finalized yet. So that's why we're getting more minis, and I wasn't sure before. I'm still not sure until the fat lady sings. I'm not sure. That's why I'm not doing pre-orders. I'm not taking anybody's money until I have ordered it and they're being made and on the way. I'm always going to make computer cases, though. I think it's too much of a passion for me not to. But as far as mass produce them, like the minis mass produced, but, you know, hand make stuff in my shop, absolutely. I want to do actually more of that and buy more equipment so I can do more of that. But, you know, other people are stepping up too. Like, there's other indie creators out there that are building stuff based on the Mini. They're building other stuff based on the Dan case. So, as you know, there's more and more options available to consumers. And it might reach a point where nobody wants the Mini anymore exactly like it is. And that'll be great because I made the Mini because there was nothing else like that. I wasn't like, you know what I want to do? I'll make a computer case. No, I was a modder. I wanted to mod computer cases, but they didn't have anything like this. So I made my own. Yeah, for the G-Unique stuff, it's hard. That's why I always recommend G-Unique last. Not because I don't love Gary. He's my favorite modder. I say it probably every stream, or his products. But it's like a custom thing. It's like ordering a custom belt or something. I mean, you have to go contact him through a private message, tell him what you want, and then he'll make it. So that's how you order G Unique stuff. The way people do it most is through his Discord. Well, thank you for the compliments, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, Gary does need a website, but you keep in mind that he is mainland China, and I know that there's some problems accessing his customers accessing it through the firewall. So he has to use like the WhatsApp app. Is that what it's called? The WhatsApp app and Discord to kind of do his sales and stuff. Because he doesn't. Remember, he is a guy that's making these and then shipping it to you. It's not like he has an established factory or warehouse or something to where he could have a website and fulfill order, take orders and all that. So at least that's how it is right now. You know, I don't know what his plans are for the future. But it would be totally awesome if he had retail stuff being made. But it's expensive. To make a power supply is insanely expensive. For lots of reasons. Not just the R&D, but also certification. You know, that's an expensive. That's a spicy meatball. Yeah, so I thought that I could just, install Windows, but I've been so used to installing them in SSDs lately that this old 5400 RPM 2.5 inch drive is like... But I don't really have anything else planned. I was just going to do this during my lunch hour. Talk with you guys. And, assemble it. Fortunately, I can't just pull the drive in the middle of this. I could, I guess. I don't care about the drive. And put this in the case. But basically what this is going to be, you can see how it's open frame and everything. I'm going to put it into the front of this computer case. And then I'm going to take a smoke bezel and put that over the front. So you're going to be able to like look inside and see the power supply just barely through that smoke gloss acrylic. I think it's going to look really cool. But we'll see. Yeah, Nori Rivera says CE certified China expert. If this is so funny, most people probably know it in here, but if the C and the E are together, that's the official logo for the organization. But if it's C and has a space between it and then an E, that's the China export logo. To kind of trick you into thinking that it's been certified. Thank you, Joey. I appreciate that. I really like it. I'm biased, but if somebody makes a better case than the Mini, I'm not going to keep making the Mini because somebody else will have done it, Maybe I'll make something else. I'm really excited about my next case after the Mini. I'm really excited about it. I hope I can bring it to reality. I don't know if it will be or not, but it's interesting. It has a lot of cool ideas that I've been thinking about for many years, but also it's a unique way of putting in everything or most everything that you guys wanted into a computer case that we all can live with. Because that's the problem with the Mini. It's like you can't have everything everybody suggests because it would be this big, giant, huge thing. But I have a cool idea that I'm trying to implement. I ordered some prototypes, and we'll see what happens. I'm being mysterious. I'm going to share with you guys as soon as I can, but I think I'd prefer to get the prototype first. But just teasing. My dog is really annoying me. And cats have such a personality. My neighbor has cats, and they'll just walk in front of the fence of my dogs just to get the dogs to bark at them because they're bored. What a jerk. Hey, Chingy, good to see you again. Windows needs to restart. Excellent. We might just get to test this out. Ooh. Oh yeah, thank you for the super chat. I think I saw one pop up, but I was busy blabbering. So thank you, Nori, for the donation of $2. I really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel. Sean, it's almost like a meme now with how much you want tempered glass. Well, that's a good question, Raven. I'm just a goofy person, and I just made the first one in Witch, and I just continued it since. But I tried to do that for the live stream, so if you see it start with in Witch, you know it's a long chat format video rather than a produced video. So, yeah, dude, I can't recommend these enough. I have pretty bad RSI from another injury and from using computers all my life with normal mice, but I switched to these 7 years ago because it got so bad I couldn't hold a normal mouse. It was so painful. I would use Xbox controllers for games while I could, and then the ball mouse. And then after 7 years of using the mouse and allowing myself to heal, I can actually use a normal mouse again. So I'm really grateful that they make these trackball mice. Plus, they're the best HTPC mice because you can use them anywhere, right? You don't need to have a surface to use them. And it's also funny too. I kind of pride myself because I used it for 7 years, and because of that, I got pretty good with it. And my friends would never believe me that I was playing Overwatch and Counter-Strike and PUBG and StarCraft with a ball mouse and was as good as them. I'm not a good player, but neither are they. So, but it is possible. It's like the most epic mouse you could have for RTS. That's for darn sure, because you can just throw the ball out there and grab it and pull it back. Alan asks for a narration of what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything. I am wasting time with you guys. I'm building a system and testing it out for a customer. Let's go see what the doorbell is. More computer parts. And a customer build. You guys want to know a really cool trick? It's not really a trick, but always get your mail lady, and if you can, UPS guy, like little presents throughout the year, like gift cards and stuff like that, because then they make sure to wait by the door, give you your package. It's really handy when you have tons of stuff and you don't want anything to get lost, but it's good to have a first name basis and chat with them and everything. It's money well spent, and you get to make new friends, so. Hey, Weston. Yeah, it's a really serious question. And like mine was really, really bad. I didn't know what I had because I had carpal tunnel before. But this was worse than that. I mean, my hand was so bad. I had to make major life changes, but I did eventually heal up. The first things first is I got a standing desk. This is like 7 years ago. I got a standing desk, which you wouldn't think help, but it does help. It helps with your hand. It helps with your elbow and stuff like that. So just sit and stand as much as you can. Number two, I tried to actually take more breaks from the computer, which was very difficult for me. I switched to a ball mouse, and I didn't just use one ball mouse. I would use several. So it'd have different hand positions and stuff. And you just had to have like 5 mice on your desk, and not use anyone for too long. It was very difficult. For using tools and stuff, there's not really a good thing that I found around from that, but just with the computer stuff, slowly and gradually, I got better and better and better. I'm not like healed. I never will be because, I do have like cartilage and stuff worn down, obviously, but a lot of the pain is gone. I can grab a normal mouse now and use it for short periods of time without any pain. So I really, really recommend at least starting with the ball mice. So, and good luck. It's not fun when you have to work with your hands for a living. And a couple questions. What's in the box? A computer case, computer parts, screws, my weekly McMaster delivery. Somebody asked, what's RSI? RSI is repetitive stress injury. It's basically an injury kind of like arthritis, a kind of arthritis where you're using something over and over and over again, the same hand position, so your joints and muscles and stuff wear, tear, and without spreading out the movements over your entire hand. So if you're doing the same kind of thing over and over and over again, like you played a mage in vanilla and you only pressed Frostbolt 3 on the keyboard, you can wear out your parts. And then finally, somebody says, what about the new case? I just brought up, I think if you're talking about my case, I want to do another case this year on top of the S4M. I'm working towards that goal. I'm making prototypes and stuff, but it comes down to funds and can I get an acceptable quality, etc., etc., etc. I don't have a lot of details yet, but I'm really, really trying to get the price down so it's not going to be as premium of a product as the S4M. But I'm going to do my very best. It's going to be on par with other cases that are out there. I hope. I mean, if it's not, then I don't want to get it made. But I'm excited about it because it has some really interesting ideas that were community driven and also that I wanted to experiment with. Forever Frostbolt, yes. I'm going to play Classic WoW when it comes out because I played from not day one in vanilla, but I played so much vanilla. I really, really loved that game. I loved all the people that I met. It's kind of goofy to say, especially if you didn't have that experience, but I do not regret a minute that I spent in vanilla World of Warcraft. And people don't get that. Like, you wasted so much of your life playing a game. And yeah, if you just look at it as a computer game, but it wasn't. You know, like I was a guild leader. I met with people that were, having their hearts broken through breakups, who were getting their law degree or their medical degree, who lost their job, who were rednecks like me, who were just kids, that would get on, didn't really have parents or somebody to like play with them or give them attention. And we like all a family. And I met so many great people. A lot of the people that I'm best friends with today in real life and know them and meet them from World of Warcraft. I'm pretty sure I'm married to my wife because of World of Warcraft, because I met her in high school at a Valentine's Day dance, and then I moved not long after to Washington State, and we were long distance for a long time, but because of World of Warcraft, we got to continue that relationship. But yeah, like 3 of my best friends I know from World of Warcraft, and another really good friend who's a really cool guy, TJ, pops in the stream every now and then, actually met through World of Warcraft. So it wasn't just like a video game. It was like a life experience. Now it's pretty much just a video game. They've kind of taken away a lot of the community aspect of WoW. It's still a fun game. It can be, but it's just not the same as it was. This is taking forever. Okay, lesson learned. Just buy an SSD for your Windows test drive. I just did this to carry on the conversation for our lunch break, but wow. Cannot believe how long this takes. Windows 10 takes like what? 5 minutes without updates to install on an SSD? It's been not 5 minutes. Okay, let's start with the region. Yes, we're in the United States. Good guess. Skip. Skip, skip, skip. I want to skip to this. I just want to get drivers. I don't want to connect to a network. Don't connect, because then you'll want updates. I don't want to put updates on this, because it will never get done. Me. Create a password. Blank. Now the internet knows. Do not make Cortana my personal assistant, but yes, you may spy on me because I'm not connected to the internet ever. Yeah, it's not only a 5400 RPM 2.5-inch drive, it's an old one from like a MacBook Pro or something like that. From the ancient era. It even had, oh, it's a Seagate too. That's another problem. So it's just bad. It was bad when it came out. Yeah, Weston, man, I will say a prayer for you, and I really hope that you can stick with some regiment and have hope, because it was really bad for me. Like, it had gotten bad over several years, and I thought I was done. It was frustrating. I would cry sometimes because it was so bad because I had to do work. It's like, it was just frustrating knowing that I was worn out that early. But like I said, it took a long time, but I am doing a lot better. So hang in there. TK Kuro asked a great question. Is HCPlex or anyone else still making a nice external kit for the 400 watt? I have been so far behind and had to deal with other things in my life right now that I'm just behind on stuff. I'm really trying to catch up because my next major project is going to be an external case for this power brick. I'm going to have some cool ideas and I want to implement them. I think it'll be a lot of fun, but I just need the time to do it. As far as I know, nobody else has. A lot of people have proposed designs. Sean Kreese, who is moderating the chat today, actually has a couple proposed designs. But none of us have really had the time to do it yet. Thank you, Guillermo. I appreciate your donation. Did I get your name right this time? And Cyrus, or Cyrus, which I know I always get your name wrong. I'm sorry. It's good to see you again, though. It finished! It finished. Okay, let's get NVIDIA drivers and the Final Fantasy benchmark. I'm already pretty happy with this because I've already done a lot of tests on this power supply. It's just that when I finished assembling it for the last time, I caught it on fire, and yeah, that was not good, but it was fine. It didn't burn out anything or burn tracers up. It just was a hot solder point that was too far that touched it to the heatsink. I know I had NVIDIA drivers on this thing. I wonder if I delete it to put the new ones on and didn't put the new one on. I hate when I do stuff like that. Oh, I know the problem was. I was going to put it on, but I ran out of space because the new driver is ridiculously huge. So I'm going to install it on this. Here is the link to the case for people that are asking. All right, NVIDIA drivers. GeForce. I don't know why you just can't put that by default. $551 megabytes. Which is ridiculous. It means I can't even use a 512 megabyte hard drive. Show, copy. All right, put my chat window back wherever it went to. There you are. I don't actually sell blemished units for the most part. For one, the manufacturer, when they do the quality control, if it's a blemished piece, they're gonna throw it away and they're gonna put a new one on when they assemble it. You know, they're not gonna. I paid them a lot of money for quality control, so hopefully I'm not gonna get a bad one. And if I do get a bad one, you know, I don't like the idea of selling something that's wrong to the customer. I'm just gonna fix it, you know, and send them something that's right. I understand that I could use to cut costs, but I also kind of want to protect the cost of the Mini for people that invested in it. I don't know. I have to feel everything out. I don't know what if I do is right half the time, but I just try to do my best. Thank you, Nori, for another donation. And he says the new case is bigger than the S4. Well, I'm getting the S4M made again, which you guys are going to be able to order, if not this month, next month. But the new case, is it going to be bigger or smaller? Maybe it's going to be both. We don't know yet. I mean, I know, but you guys don't know yet. But I'll talk about it when I get the prototype in. Have I seen the Silverstone Slim ARGB fans? No, I have not. By the way, thank you for the donation, Guillermo. I've not seen them. That sounds interesting. Are they 120 Slims? Oh, awesome, Felix, for fixing your router with soldering. That's always impressive. I think I have a box of... Why do I hold on to stuff like that? I think a box of old routers, I would just swap mine out. Though I did inherit a really high-end Netgear router from a friend that's better than mine. But instead of, just swapping it out, I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to take all the plastic off and put giant heat sinks on it. So now I have a router that's disassembled and underneath my desk for a weird project that I'm probably never going to finish. What is wrong with me? But that's why routers die, is they get too hot. Everything takes so long on this drive. It's so sad. But I almost have the Final Fantasy benchmark installed, which is a really good benchmark. I really like it. It's like a synthetic, and that's a repeatable standalone program that you can download for free and run. But it's like a actual PC game, which are better for testing because it really does weird things to your power supply. It really can stress it at some points. It's kind of useless as far as giving you benchmarking data, though. So like if you're trying to test out your new graphics card, not super great. But it is really good for testing power supplies. Can you hear this thing? I can hear this thing. It sounds sad. It's crying. Why? It has like coil whine. The drive has coil whine on top of this standard clicking. That's weird. The ninth dude says, would I ever consider building a mini without the GPU space, but still have space for an HD Plex? Yes. Yes, I have. I am considering it. I have and am. I wasn't a year ago. But after that 2400G that AMD sent, the drive does need to be put. I mean, I'm probably going to use it one time for this application and never use it again. Oh, do you know what's also cool about the Final Fantasy benchmark? It actually includes the Visual C++ redistributable in it. So you don't have to go download that separate, like sometimes you need to do. The older one. Chingy says, which way of testing power supplies is better? Loading up the components to the max or gaming to make the load vary constantly? I think gaming is... the best way to test your computer out is to use it like you're going to use it. That's the best way. I really don't agree with getting like FutureMark or something and installing that for a lot of different reasons. FutureMark is crazy all over the board when it comes to power supplies. With some bits of hardware, it will barely stress the power supply. With others, it will really stress it. It depends on drivers. Don't recommend it. So always, when you're trying to test your power supply, I recommend using the applications that you're going to use. So when I'm building a build for a customer, usually it's, what games do you play? And I have a library of games that I don't play, but I find the ones the customer plays, and I load different save points from it, and I run through it, and try to test it out that way. But gaming, using it as you're going to use it is the best way to do it. But more direct answer to your question, synthetics are usually really bad for testing power supplies. So anything from the Unit-Engine family, those are awesome benchmarking utilities. I love them, but not for your power supply. They don't stress it really at all. Furmark doesn't really load your power supply up that much with stock settings. You can modify and alter it, and you can also blow up your power supply. So you gotta know what you're doing before you do anything advanced. Similarly, OCCT. I don't like talking about OCCT because most of the people that buy my minis from me or do builds, which I think is the best thing in the world, are not experienced builders. I have a lot of first-time builders, which I think is amazing that their first computer build is a mini. That's really honors me a lot. But I don't want them to know about OCCT, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can and will blow a power supply up with it. I said this before on a stream or a video, and I got flamed by a couple people that says that I'm an idiot for saying that. I really stand by what I said. I have blown up many power supplies with OCCT. One was the Silverstone SFX power supply that erupted in beautiful blue flames. It was glorious, but it was too close to my wall and left a burnt mark. So, it's not that the program's bad. I'm not dissing the program, but it is an advanced tool. So I prefer gaming for that kind of thing. Yeah, like Felix said, Prime 95 and Furmark, if you get the right settings with both of them, you can absolutely max out your CPU. I mean, 100%, which can test the power supply load, but it's better for testing out your cooler. It's also really not good for your CPU either. I'm not an expert in this area, so I'm not saying this based on my own experience, but I do read other experts' opinions on these kinds of things, and apparently you can damage your CPU with going outside the stock boundaries for Prime 95 or Furmark. Why that is, I'm not exactly sure, but voltage regulators are built into the CPU now, and if you don't have the proper control set up on your motherboard either, I could see it. It makes sense to me. But if you're just getting Prime 95 and you're running a blend, it's fine. You're not going to hurt your CPU. At least I haven't hurt a CPU yet. And that's another thing too. Like when you're building small form factor, you have to be willing to accept the fact that you can't be concerned with your temperature numbers anymore. When I was building normal sized computers, I thought 50 degrees Celsius was terrible. That's a terrible temperature. But when you're doing small form factor, that's pretty acceptable for a load, actually. It's pretty good. You just have to realize that when you're talking about Intel CPUs, they can run at 90 degrees Celsius all day long, every day, forever, for years and years and years and years. Even the first generation ones, I had a 920DO that ran at like 70 degrees Celsius because it was overclocked at 4.1 gigahertz. And that when I retired that rig, it was like 7 years old, I think. It was being used as a server for my friend. It was still overclocked anyway, so it was constantly running in a hot closet. And that was the first gen. They've gotten better at this kind of thing, so. Okay, thank you, Felix, for clarifying. I used to do a lot of X99 builds when that was a thing. It's kind of fallen out of style. I mean, obviously there's X299 now, but it's not as popular. I've only done two X299 builds. For people that are wondering what's happening, I'm halfway through installing the NVIDIA driver, which usually takes a long time anyway, but on this hard drive, It's taking forever, forever, forever. And all I want to do is just run the Final Fantasy benchmark. That's all I want to do. I can just hold this for you. It's okay. It doesn't weigh too much. Maybe if I tip it over this way, the loading bar will go faster. Like drip down to the end. Is it working? Can I get a little shake? Hit the power button. Yeah, I have seen them take this long before back in the olden days, but in recent memory, oh, it did work. So shaking the loading bar is a good way to make it go a little bit faster. All right. Oh, now I have to launch GeForce Experience. So now it's gonna make me wait even longer. Thank you, GeForce Experience. So glad to have you on my team. All right. And the best thing about this benchmark is that one of the most intensive scenes is the first one. So I can look over here on my what's up meter. $266, $289, $298. And the fan is on the power supply, which is what I wanted to see. See you around. So I got that all hooked up right. Yeah. Bust out my Fluke. There's 2 spots I was concerned about. And we're good. What about the drive? Drive is crying. I'm going to turn this music down because it's annoying. Never thought I'd say that about Nobuo Utsumas, but he even did the audio for this one. Alright, I'm going to just let this run, but it looks like I'm golden. So, we're done here. So thank you for joining me on my lunch break. Appreciate you guys. Thank you to the Super Chat people. And I will see you on Monday for the assembly of this brickless build in my dad's S4 Mini Classic. So reading off the Super Chat people again. Thank you, Guillermo. Thank you, Nori. Thank you, Nori, again and again. And it won't let me scroll up anymore. It's not cool. But thank you to everybody that did donate. Thank you guys for tuning in and participating in the stream. Bye!